Welcome, everyone, to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge that magic has to offer. It's a place to illuminate and demystify all things magical. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge that magic has to offer. This is a place to illuminate and demystify all things magical. And we are so excited to kick off a Leo season here with our first recorded episode. And today we are going to be talking about boss witches. How do you handle your magical business? I am joined today by Anna and Adriana.
Roar!
There we go. There we go. And Adriana.
Meow.
And I'm going to throw this out there. I am Reverend Raven, and tomorrow is my motherfucking birthday.
Woo, woo. Birthday girl. Wow.
And we decided what better way, like I said, to welcome in Leo season than to talk about boss witches and running businesses within the magical community. It's super exciting for us as magical practitioners over time just to think about how do we incorporate all of the things that we do in our magic and the things that pull at our heart, and how do we help others in the community with that. I know for me, that is really the driving factor into a lot of things that I do is helping the community. That is my why. So we are really excited just to kind of kick this off. And I'm going to hand the mic over to Adriana to talk a little bit about her magical endeavors and her business.
Okay, y'all. So Ink to Prosperity, which is my spiritual business, it's transformed and evolved probably about as much as I have transformed and evolved over the past couple of years. So I started back in 2019, like with the official business. And I started out as an Etsy shop, just doing readings, making oils, blending herbs, doing candles and rituals. So I was really heavy on like the physical craft, alongside, of course, with the readings. But I was really excited about that. But then I got burned the fuck out real quick because I went in and I was also working a full-time job on top of that. So it was exciting, but also really time consuming. And it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And I think that's probably because I just didn't have all of the knowledge that I needed to make it a successful business. I didn't even know what the fuck having a business meant. I don't think I have anyone in my immediate family who has done this before. So it was not like I was raised on it. But my mama always taught me to, go after what you want. But yeah, so now Into Prosperity I do a lot of classes, I have community groups, I still do my readings, and I've decided to bring in my love for career work into Prosperity. So I focus mostly on like personal and career development in my business. So, and it might change next year. Who the fuck knows?
Yes.
That's kind of the best part of it. We were just talking about that before we got on here, that even with the podcast, you've got I'll go ahead and say it, 3 pretty type A people as far as like planning and all of that stuff. And when we first started this journey, we got like crazy. We had it planned out and we've really kind of started to fly by the seat of our pants now. And that seems to be a good creative speed for that. So good for you for allowing the evolution to happen,
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Annalisa, now that this is basically your business.
Yes.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
It is weird because I, unlike you, I came from a family of entrepreneurs.
Mm,
My papa started a grocery store in St. Charles Parish, or actually Jefferson Parish first. God, in the 50s or 60s. And then it moved over to where it is currently. And my dad and his brothers still run that business today. And there's lots of other people kind of in my relatively immediate circle who have all been self starters as far as business goes. So it was strange that even once we started this journey, I have only really very recently come to think of this as my magical business in probably just the
mm,
last couple of months, because it wasn't something that started out with an intention of being a business. It
mm,
was a place for me to do a lot of healing that I needed to do. And then in turn of me doing that healing, trying to encourage others. But I mean, it's an exchange. So it's a business. And so now I have really started to think of it that way. So that has also been a weird and strange evolution. Good question.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yes. That's really cool. I think that that kind of leads to the next question that I was going to ask Adriana, actually.
Mm.
And that is, how were you led to start a business?
um, I think because the coaches, or maybe not the coaches, but the mentors that I had were all doing their own thing. And I appreciated that. I love to see them be able to just like whatever they felt like doing, whatever class, whatever they want to say, colors, symbols, you name it. And I thought it was really beautiful for them to be able to have this form of expression. And so that coupled with a few people like asking me to do some readings for them. So it was almost like I didn't necessarily choose it until the opportunity presented itself to me.
Spirit's like, you're doing this.
Yeah, just so you know.
Yep. And that's actually, I think, really similar to our story of starting Magical Aspirations. I
Mm,
really feel that that's probably what happened with Annalisa, because I
mm.
know that's what she did to us.
Absolutely.
It did. And that's, y'all have heard me say it before. I'm going to continue to say it again. This came from a really organic place of looking for my own healing. It was weird that in like say high school, for example, music was everything, right? It was what you did to fill your time. You filled everything with it, all the background noise in your car, no matter what. There were like headphones in your ears, right?
Mm.
I all of a sudden started getting this urge to take in information, and I reading wasn't doing it, watching YouTube's video wasn't doing it, but I was spending a lot of time in my car at the time, and podcasts seemed to be the way to do it. And I psychic teachers with Samantha Faye and Deb Bowen, I highly recommend to
Yes.
anybody who is a starter magical practitioner, because they have been on for almost 12 years now,
Yes.
weekly putting out episodes on literally every topic you could imagine. And
Mm.
I pounded down like 10 or 11 years worth of episodes in like 3 months. It was just like
Whoa. I feel that.
yes, because I was just so like inflamed in a good way with the information I was getting, and I was transmuting it differently than anything I ever had before. And then when I
Mm.
finished that one, I wanted to find another one and another one and another one. And this went on for about 9 months. And then I got to a point where I noticed myself as I was listening, I wasn't listening anymore, but I was thinking about how I could say it, how maybe I could say it
Mm.
differently to help someone else. Because I get what they're saying, but I maybe want to tweak it a little bit. And that was a real recurring, just like constant bombardment messaging of like, just do one yourself, just do one yourself, just do one yourself. And then I told these ladies, hey, we're doing this.
Yes.
She did not ask. She did
I
not ask.
didn't.
She was like,
I told.
yeah, I'm going to give you some time to process it, but like we're doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I actually remember sitting on my porch and having this conversation because she had told me that we had something really important to talk about, and her saying, like, "I have this idea for this podcast, and you're gonna do it with me." Like, all
That's
right.
it.
All right,
That's
cool.
it. That's it. I looked at my magical group of friends, and you two were the only two people that I thought that we could. I don't know. It was the three of us were meant to do this. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to, explain it, like, and even in that moment, you didn't
Mhm.
have to explain it to me,
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
knew. I felt that message from spirit, and I'm like, "Okay, well, if she's getting this message, like, this is it." And also, I had been being led to write or, communicate in some fashion about
Mm.
magical practices actually a couple of months before that. And there was an online spiritual zine, and they were looking for writers, and they were asking for submissions, kind of like interview you kind of piece, kind of see
Okay.
if you're good enough, or your content was going to fit in with them. And I kept kicking the idea around in my mind, but I was too fucking busy to write the sample.
Mm. Story of my life.
So, right. So I'm like, if I can't even dedicate the time to like write a sample article, how am I going to commit to doing it every month,
Oof.
to write for
Mm.
it consistently? So that was kind
Right.
of like what was holding me back, is like I really wanted to do something like this, but I didn't know how to make the time for it. And
Mm.
with this, it's just been so organic the way that it's evolved.
Yeah.
Very much so, because I love that you talk about not being able to cut out the time to even do a sample, but yet here we have pretty much every week since February,
Right.
we have
Yeah.
blocked out our Sunday mornings and sometimes other days to do this with great ease. Like, it is something that is now such an important part of my schedule that, like, what did I do Sunday mornings before we did this?
But actually.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it is a good time for us to reflect on our own magical practices and
Mhm.
what we're doing. Like, instead of me sitting here journaling, for example, I'm getting to reflect on things with y'all, and
Mhm.
having you guys as a sounding board has been really helpful too.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with
Absolutely.
that. So
So recording the podcast has become part of my magical practice, period.
100%. Yep. Yep.
okay, guys. So I feel so stupid. Why have I never thought of it like that?
Bless. Sometimes the sense just knocks you.
It really wow. Why have I
Okay.
never thought of it I light a candle, I have this whole ritual, but I've
Yeah.
never really thought of this as a magical practice. Jeez, I'm a boob.
It's okay. We like to call it being hit with a clue by four back home.
Yes.
It's all good. Spirit told you this is a way that you could practice with others from the comfort of your home.
Mm,
And that is truthfully
mm.
one of my very favorite things to do.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
And right when I said that, a little cardinal, male cardinal, just popped up on the fence
Ah!
right in front of me. That's my
Thank you.
grandpa.
Thank you, Papa Cardinal.
Thank
Yep.
you, Papa Cardinal. So
Yeah.
that leads me to Becky. If there's anybody who follows their magical light more than anyone, it's you.
Literally.
You also have a ton of magical businesses. Why don't you tell the people about them?
Okay. Well, I will start there, and then I will kind of circle around and tell you how I got there, because it's kind of a cool story as well. So y'all know me as Reverend Raven. Someone decided 2 years ago that I was going to be the one to officiate their wedding.
I don't know who that
So
is.
so y'all have heard that story, but that was the spark that led me to become a wedding officiant. And until that point, I never really thought of myself as the one who could lead the spiritual practices, group rituals, weddings, things like that. Even though I had been a magical practitioner for over 15 years at that point, I never felt that I was the one that could lead the group. even though I was a leader in my everyday life, I had done public speaking, things like that. I had definitely that imposter syndrome of somebody else can do it better. So, with that endeavor, it wasn't that whether somebody else could do it better than me, it was the fact that I was the one that was there. I was the one that was chosen to be that megaphone for spirit. I was the one that was chosen to share those messages. And that was the birth of Reverend Raven. The concept of I am a channel for messages from spirit, and I will lead my spiritual community in the way that spirit has in mind for me. So, with that being said, it really took a lot of weight off my shoulders. And I try to remind myself that whenever I'm starting to get nervous before leading a group ritual or a hand fasting or something like that, that it's not about me. Whatever the words are that are supposed to come, they're going to come because I am a channel from spirit. So that was a really special moment just to realize that I didn't have to be scared of that.
Mm, mm, I love that. When you are in the moment and you're leading, how do you support yourself like after the fact?
That's a really good question. This last time I had discussed, how we had our first group ritual as a full moon service a couple weeks ago. Lori and I led, and afterwards I was really tired. But Adam and Jackie and Chris and we went out for celebration dinner. And we just reflected on everything. And I spent time in fellowship with my people. And that really fuels my fire, is just being with my people and having that moment afterwards to reflect, but where I don't have to be on.
I feel that so hard. Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's what this is for me.
I was about to say exactly the same thing. Well, because like Becky said earlier, like I was given the opportunity to have this wonderful sense of community literally by just sitting in I'm sitting in my kitchen living room area right now. I'm in my pajamas, the dogs are chilling on the couch. Because even though I am a very much a solo practitioner, there is this wonderful sense of fulfillment's not the word. I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but insert word here from being with like-minded people. Even if it's just over a little chitty chat like this, or I guess that's where the podcasts that I was listening to, that's what that really helped. And I didn't realize that until I just said that out loud, that even without being part of a conversation, just listening to other people having magical conversations helped me remember what my magic is. And I feel that we try to do a really good job of that, both individually and separately. Together and individually. Sorry.
Yeah. It's belongingness at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is my fuel, that belongingness, that community, that I help others by being open, by being vulnerable, by being the one standing up front, not knowing what the fuck I'm going to say until the words come. That can be scary. And, for
Terrifying.
everybody has that, everyone has a sense of ego, obviously. And so for you to stand in front of a group of people and not know what you're going to say before the words come out, that can be scary, but you have to surrender that ego. To
Just
again
allow
know
it to
it's
be.
not, to know that it's not about you.
Yeah. Right. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I had to overcome and am still having to work through in my business, and just knowing that I would get so nervous when people would book their readings, and I literally never have talked to this person before. And I'm like, and you want me to read your life? Girl, what?
Right, exactly.
What? But at the end of the day, it is not about me. It's about whatever comes through. It's about the connection, which is also really important. It's about safety and love. Love above all else. That's what it's
Yes.
about. So I feel that.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Yes, and the birth of Reverend Raven as, like I said, as a concept, that is the love warrior.
yeah.
She
Mhm.
is the embodiment of a love warrior, that
Mm-hmm.
all of her actions are based out of love.
Mm-hmm.
So she might tell you something that you might not wanna hear, but it's what you need to hear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So speaking of that, who inspires your work?
Who in, like, a physical sense or spirit or whatever?
Take it.
Yeah,
Both.
that's what I was
Take
like,
it how you want.
yep, okay. I figured. So it's kind of a conglomeration, of course, with my ancestors. Um, I come from a long line of helpers, and that is what drives my actions is being a helper. Like I said, being part of the
Mm,
community. And I, like I said, come from a long line of that. My family has all been, you know, medical professionals, nurses, doctors,
mm,
EMTs, firefighters. My grandmother was a teacher, so just being that person that, oh, there's someone in need, there I am.
mm,
And
mhm,
that is what, from my ancestral line, I find a lot of inspiration in. It is, how can I be of service to my community?
yeah.
And it's kind of odd because I had this question popped up to me whenever you were talking, Adriana, like, why should we do this when there are so many people out there that are offering readings and
Mm,
making oils and doing herb blends and officiating weddings?
mm,
Why me?
mhm, mhm,
Isn't this market oversaturated? Like,
absolutely.
Mm.
from a business person's perspective, like,
Yeah.
I kept having those thoughts and having those, like, doubts. But then, like I said, with that death of ego, it's that I have something unique to offer, though.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing things the same as everyone else because
Mhm,
I am led by spirit, so
mhm,
spirit is leading me to do something different.
mhm, mhm. I could not agree with that more. Um, and at the end of the day, like, I think the beautiful thing that I appreciate about the evolution is that who I connected with in 2019 are not the same type of people who I connect with in 2022, and I love that.
Yeah.
And I think that also speaks to why you should fucking if you feel the call to do the business or the project or whatever it is, do it because who you impact is going to change as you change and your work
Right.
changes and your creativity evolves. And I think that is just that is the most magical part to me.
Mhm.
Totally. And I really, in just honoring, like we've talked about, honoring when you hear a message and like don't discount when you feel like sometimes it just feels like the universe is literally speaking directly to you. An
Mhm,
example of that is with you, Adriana. The last time you ran your cultivating alignment course,
mm,
I joined in. That was in the end of 2020.
mhm,
And you had done it once before, and like I had seen
mhm,
it and was like, okay, noted, whatever. But then this next time that it came around, it came at exactly the moment I needed it. And every time you posted something about it, I could see you in my mind with your finger going, I'm talking to you, girl.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just felt this heavy pressure to not pressure, no pressure. It was definitely pressure
mm,
to join in. It was truthfully not really something that I could afford at the time, but I made it work because
mm,
I felt like I needed to. And
Mm.
I, from the minute I started, was so glad that I did, because it truthfully changed my life. You both know the changes that I ensued after I left a terrible job. I moved
Yeah.
to the north side of the lake. Like, all of these things changed, and that wouldn't have been done without you guys, truthfully. And now look where we are. Like, now I get to stand from another level up to help all of those people that are on the same level that I was on 2 years ago.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And that really brings me to wanting to talk about my next project and where that can lead other people. So we're talking about business and being from like a business mindset, but listening to spirit as far as what we're supposed to do. So I just launched my newest project that is called New Dawn Promotions. And in New Dawn, we are helping nonprofits and organizations within the community to give back. Bringing
Mm.
new horizons to community service is my tagline.
Mm.
And
love that.
this is a concept that I have had in my mind for a couple years, but I wasn't really sure how to make it happen.
Yeah.
Um, but my middle name is Dawn, and so New Dawn is a part of me and who I am. The new part is we are looking at a new way, the new universe of how we help each other. We're helping
Mm.
the community and those around us. So
Mhm.
this is the beginning of a new day of us not being so worried about how much money that we have in the bank and worrying about those people around us that need help in the community.
Absolutely.
So my
Mm.
business model with New Dawn is bringing in enough money to help others. It is not a for-profit business venture. The only money that I need to have and bring in is to incorporate, to have a bank account to spend money for marketing funds,
Right.
so I can market those events within the community. Our first project called the Dog Days of Summer, we are helping other rescue groups, so animal rescue groups in the New Orleans area, put on fundraising events throughout the summer. So I'm working with 4 different groups right now to put on those events so they can get not only funds that they need, but in front of people, so people can see that there is such a need for foster homes, adoptions, volunteers, things like that, because the animal rescue world right now is in such a need for help. We saw during COVID actually a huge outpouring of help from the community, of people that were stuck at home. So they were fostering and adopting, donating, things like that. Everyone was wanting to give back. But with the current economic situation, they are seeing so many of those pets being returned, other pets being relinquished, fewer people volunteering, fewer foster homes. So we are on the downswing, and it is a very dire situation right now. So with New Dawn, we are really wanting to not only, like I said, raise funds, but raise awareness of the situation.
You're so fucking dope.
That's all. I feel the same way. Like, you're just so, I just want to be you sometimes.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So how do you I know earlier you were talking about like merging your intuition with business. So for you with New Dawn, how do you feel that's manifesting?
Definitely in the who I talk to and how. So I have lived in the New Orleans area for 7 years now, moved away from an area where I knew everyone. I worked at the animal shelter in my hometown. So literally people coming in to adopt, I went to high school with. The business owners were people that I knew for my whole life. And whenever I decided, well, Adam and I decided that we were going to pick up our lives and move 1,000 miles away from home, we lost every connection that we had. We literally had to start over. But over the last 7 years, we have ingrained ourselves in the community, and I feel like listening to my intuition has helped to make those connections to help others. Again, it's not so I can, have fame or glory or money or things like that. It really is to reach out and help those within the community.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. That is definitely that is how you make your magic your business. Like that's
That
exactly
Yeah.
it. Like it
So
comes
that
from
it comes from spirit, and that's what I
Mhm.
was going to say. It was kind of circling back around to previous questions about business and things like that. Whenever you feel like you should do this thing, fucking do it.
Yeah.
do it.
Don't be worried about, oh, is this going to make money? How much is it going to bring in? Is this going to be a successful business venture? You are being led for a reason.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely.
And maybe you will make some money from it, but most likely you're going to change a lot of fucking lives.
Mhm. And probably more than you ever would have imagined.
Right.
Totally.
Absolutely.
I think we are certainly all testaments of that. Like even for this 6 months into this podcast, I had no idea that my voice could become so strong, and I'm excited to see what the next 6 months of that brings.
Ashe.
Absolutely.
Ashe. Mhm.
So another project that we are working on currently that we just launched, there is a public Facebook group called Morgan's Flight, Morgin. And one of my dear friends was very recently diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She just had to have a complete hysterectomy, and they just found out that the cancer has spread within her lymph nodes. So she is going to be going through chemotherapy and radiation treatments very soon. So Morgan's Flight is a community service project that New Dawn is heading up. Jackie, that you guys have met before, has been instrumental in getting that group going. We are putting on different fundraising efforts right now to help our dear friend Morgan and her husband Gray, because of course she is out of work right now. She's going to be going through a lot and needs a lot of community support. In addition to financial support. So we are organizing an in-person fundraising event that is going to be a concert. So music and fire performances and a lot of really cool things, but also some smaller things like a yard sale and a chili cook-off and a pagan brunch. So we have a lot of efforts going together. And again, bringing together everyone from the community to help this family. And we are not only helping them, we are going to help the rest of the community too.
Absolutely. I think that that's so necessary and needed, and all of the other words I can't think of right now, because it's really easy for us to feel consumed by all the bullshit and sadness and heartache and trauma that's going on. But to see your community that y'all have created support this woman and her family is literally like, what I can do that. I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
like that's the takeaway from you just talking about that there are ways that people can help people of like all walks of life. It's attainable to actually feel like you're helping. Like I love the thought of a yard sale. Like someone is getting rid of something they need to clean out. I'm just going to go and buy something, but that money exchange is going to help some lady hopefully with her medical bills and all of that or anything else
Exactly.
like
Right.
that. It's not these fundraisers where you have to pay $1,000 a plate or something like that. Like those are
Right.
really easy ways that anybody in any community can pitch in, and that is
Right.
100%.
Yeah, and we're organizing a street team, so that's going to include people going out to area businesses and flyering and asking for donations and things like that. And through helping others, this is the biggest lesson that I have learned from being a helper. Through helping others, we help ourselves.
Facts.
Mhm.
how
Yes.
much
Mhm.
healing that we can have and that we can experience through helping others.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Lord.
It is. That's a word. That's a word. It reminds me of, like, I just have this really big imagery of my big mama, who
Mhm.
she's like my great great grandmother. So I've never met this woman, but I have always heard stories about her cooking and how she would just make meals for the folks in the neighborhood. Just,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know, nobody was paying anything, or if they wanted to, they could, but it was just like she would be in the kitchen, and how my grandmama would talk about her, like, telling stories while she's cooking, and like showing her little tricks and things about just like life and working on yourself, and how that was such a meditative moment for her while she was cooking for the neighborhood.
Mm. Mhm.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
so special, and I can just envision in my mind, like, those people coming over to
Yeah.
have dinner and just exchanging, like, sharing stories and
Yeah.
that energy exchange and that healing that they were, taking place in addition to eating some delicious food, I'm sure.
Right.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly that. We all just want some nourishment.
Yes,
Isn't that the truth,
yes,
guys? When it
yes.
comes down to it, we still are just animals with
Oh,
very basic needs.
hello.
All right, we're back.
Yeah.
We took a little break. Who's got some other good questions? I know we've got a ton of stuff left to talk about.
Mm.
I think the biggest thing that I wanted to mention, just kind of circling back around, is that if you feel led to do something, just fucking do it. You might not
Mhm.
know how yet, but there are resources out there. And there's a lot of information online about starting a business, forming an
Yeah.
LLC, starting a nonprofit. There are others out there that you can ask for support.
Yeah.
And I think that we are going to be able to have maybe a guest or two that we can interview kind of about the nitty gritty kind of process of starting the business. But don't let the fact that you don't know how stop you.
Mm.
Mhm.
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 Could not agree more. Could not agree
Word.
more. Because at some
Yeah.
point, you didn't even know how to walk, and you learned how to do that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That, as I mentioned to people like about having a podcast, their first question is, "Well, like how did you know how to do that?" And I was like, "I googled it." I kind of just started there. I
Yeah.
googled a bunch of, read a bunch of articles and all of that, and now it's so super second nature now. So, like Adriana said, you didn't know how to
Mm.
walk at some point.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So, I guess for y'all, is there any type of, like, witchy stuff that y'all do for your businesses?
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
question. I'm surprised that I didn't bring it up earlier, but my events are pretty much always astrologically planned.
Mm.
Ooh.
So I got my busy witches planner right here in front of me, and whenever I am thinking of an event, I take, the concept of the event, what we're trying to accomplish, what kind of group we're helping, and I look at the astrology of the dates,
Mm.
around that area, around the time frame I'm thinking, and then pick the date based on the astrology of that time frame.
I
Mm.
love that so much.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if we
That
are planning our event for Morgan's Flight, our in-person fundraising event, we are shooting for the date of the September full moon.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. I did similar things for the start of the podcast here. Obviously, we dropped on 2/22/22, which
Mhm.
double significance for that because of its numerology, but it's also my paternal grandmother's birthday. And then I also, the first thing that I did once I decided that the podcast was going to go into motion, I think even before I talked to you guys, I made the first logo that we had, printed it out, laminated it, and burned a candle on top of it for like just, good prosperity, whatever intention was supposed to come from this, that it came to fruition in whatever ways it needed to, and whoever was intended to listen.
Oh, fuck
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that little laminated card it's up on the wall in my little witchy closet. And I kind of look at it all the time as just my reminder of inspiration of why we're doing what we're doing here.
Ooh.
Yes.
That was a good question.
Yeah, I like that. I think
What about you?
so I created my logo for Ink to Prosperity is its own sigil. So I created that one. And I also have a money jar that I keep specifically for Ink to Prosperity outside of just like my home. And then I will also just commune with my ancestors in my bone readings about like what's working, what's not working, what do I need to focus on, is there something I need to be aware of? So I'll do that. And then I try now with my newsletters, I guess just like getting into the nitty. My newsletters go out on new moons and full moons because I am a lover of the moon and her cycles. So I'm sure there's other stuff that we probably all do, but y'all can't get all our secrets. Not all
That's
our
right.
secrets.
That's right. That is
Yeah.
something I believe. We will tell you a lot, but we won't tell you it all.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Something that I would like to share. I don't want to go into a lot of detail about money work, but we are actually launching tomorrow the hard launch of Mani Soul Art Collective.
Woo woo.
Woo woo.
That is a collective business between a few of our friends, and we are going to be doing all kinds of things in the community, including art, music, putting on events, all kinds of amazing things. And we want to work with other artists in the community. That includes you, magical practitioners, as well. But again, we are launching tomorrow, and we have a minimum investment for each member that we have to come up with so we can all be equal business partners in it. And we are, again, all individually responsible for that. And Adam and I are both going to be members of the business. So we have started collecting money as part of our money box to go towards that investment, where we have put a lot of magic and intentions and prosperity and things like that into the money box, that we are putting our magical intentions into saving for that specific purpose as well. So there's a Mani Soul envelope in there that we are adding money to, and it's going to be growing in the prosperity with the rest of the things in the money box.
Ashe. Ashe.
So keep an eye out for more information about Mani Soul Productions too.
Becky, what don't you do? Because what Becky hasn't mentioned so far, which if you've listened to previous episodes, you've probably kicked up on, but her and her husband dig and sell their own rocks. Her and her husband also cook delicious food and sell it all the time. So like Becky, what don't you do?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I don't swim. Yeah. Yeah. I do a lot of things, but I'm really glad that you mentioned my husband, because that is something that I wanted to bring up whenever we were talking about, being around business owners and things like that. Ever since he was a young man, he has run his own businesses. He has always been an entrepreneur, and he started out his entrepreneurial business as a dog trainer. So he started there, and then we decided that we were going to sell rocks. And so we, like Annalisa said, go out and dig our own crystals and sell them at fairs and markets, online, things like that. We have a food business called Bahalan Vittles, where he does on-site catering, food delivery, you name it, he can make it for you. Homemade gourmet is our new hashtag.
I like
So
that.
do a lot of different things, and honestly, he has been an inspiration for me to not be afraid to try new things in the business realm.
Mm.
Because if this thing don't work, there's 5 other ideas over here that we can jump into.
Just
Part of being a Pisces is you can hold a million ideas in your mind at the same time.
That's
So
it. That is it right there.
And so, truthfully, between the two of you, there's not much. I guess swimming is maybe the only thing that you don't do.
but he loves water. So
But
it's
he does.
fine.
He's a
works out.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you are a Leo. Cats
Yeah.
traditionally don't like water, even though plenty of lions
Right.
swim. But it's okay. We get it.
So from a partnership perspective, we really are a
Mm.
good balance for one another because we have different skills and talents that we both bring to the table, and we work very well together.
We love supportive partners.
We
Ugh.
do. We do.
But
do.
I'm just going to throw this out there. It brings a whole new thing to the table when you are business partners.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I feel like
Yes.
that's something I'm not afraid of it. I'm just not sure if I want that. I don't know. We've talked about it, but I don't know. It's different. It's
It is.
different.
That's what I'm just throwing that out there, that we've had ups and downs, and we've had different things that we have to work through. And what works for us, honestly, I'll share this, is that one person is kind of in charge of a project and the other person is supportive of that project. So with Valhalla and Vittles, he's in charge of that. That's his business venture, but I support him in that. So I'm the one
Okay.
taking pictures and videos. I'm doing marketing. I'm helping with deliveries. I help him do bids for catering, things like that. But at the end of the day, he's the one in charge of that.
I love that. That
And then
makes
with New
sense.
Dawn, that's my thing, and I'm the one that's in charge of that, but he supports me in many ways, in helping with event planning, in doing sound, all kinds of supportive roles, but that's my thing. And so I'm the one that's in charge of that. And so having a clear leader for each project helps us to know who is doing what role.
So do y'all ever have like moments where, okay, like this is a no business talk time?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, we have to be like, okay, we're not dealing with business right now. Or, this is where we're going to have to agree to disagree. And so maybe we don't work together on that venture.
Very evolved. I like it.
That's exactly what I was about to say. What a testament of a beautiful relationship, that like there's no threat by either party being more in power. Like you guys
Yeah.
are a beautiful example of
Agreed.
gushy.
So
Gushy, all that jazz.
we've been knowing each other since we were 14, which
A long time.
makes 25 years of us knowing each other. And we met as friends, and we were friends for several years, and then we were dating, and then we lived together, and then we spent some time apart. And then whenever we came back together, we realized those things that, we really appreciated about each other, that we really loved about each other, but also ways that we could work better together. How can we improve on what were issues in the past? How can we make that better? And that's really helped us to get where we are now in our relationship. And I want to use the word relationship as an umbrella term, because that includes, we have a relationship as, romantic partners, but we also have a relationship as business partners. We have a separate relationship as cohabitants. So like roommates living together, those silly petty things about who's doing the dishes and taking out the trash. Those were things that we had to work out.
Ooh, we're gonna have to have a relationship episode.
That's exactly, you stole God from my brain to your lips, because that is exactly where I was going with that. And what a revolving theme I feel like we've hit on many times over this last hour is of evolution and change and growth, and honoring that.
And the idea of business handling your business, it doesn't have to be about money.
Absolutely. It's all of your magical business. All of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it really seeps into, if you're being true to your magic, it's supposed to seep into everything.
Yeah. I think that's what I had to learn when I named Ink to Prosperity, because to me, prosperity used to mean money. And then my ancestors humbly humbled me
Right.
on no girl, no child. That is far from it. Far from it. Prosperity is so much more in all and nothing at all at the same time.
Yes.
This is
I
a
love
good
that.
conversation.
Yes,
I know,
lady.
God.
And I'm really looking forward to this as being the springboard of interviewing other people in the magical community who are entrepreneurs and business owners. We can keep these things in mind, like our idea of prosperity and making your magic your business.
Absolutely. I know we've said it before, and we're certainly going to keep saying it. If you've got some sort of magic out there that we haven't talked about it, get up on the email. Tell us. We want to talk to you, because it's so important to, no matter what that magic is, we want to talk about it because it's important. Please let us know.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a good time to sign off at this point before we get off on another tangent. So I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us on this wonderful conversation. And we have a lot more to bring you with Leo season, but just remember to roar your loudest. Be your true authentic self, because people are watching and they appreciate you and love you for who you are.
Ashe.
And with that note, stay true to your magic.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.